Okay, so trunk show. Robert thought it would be a great idea to do a trunk show with some of the quilts that I've made.
Joan's trunk show.
Joan's trunk show. Some are made with AccuQuilt, some are not. Some are old, some are not quite old, some are finished, and some are not. I know we've seen some of them before. So let's just get started. Okay.
Do we have some folders?
We have folders and folders. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Project Linus is out as well. So a lot of people are making.
This is one I designed. Ooh, it's got extra threads. Those are free.
Extra threads.
This is one I designed with, I think we might still be able, this was a fat quarter bundle and a jelly roll. So, from Kona.
Yep.
And then I did the back in purple. And it's also quilted in that same color purple. You wouldn't believe it, but I like color on quilts. I think that it's a good...
When you want to stand in front and we can talk about them, or?
You know, happy to hide behind a quilt. You can't see it that way. So, that's one. This would be a good guy quilt too, but
has a very modern look.
It does. I mean,
the swirls.
This one is older.
Didn't you say that was one of your favorites?
Yeah.
This one?
You can help her hold.
This is
Queenie.
This is actually one of the last ones that I did on a long arm quilting. Again, this was another.
Do I want to come out here?
There we go.
See it a little better.
Is
that better?
Yeah. This is another one I designed. Going through kind of like, I don't know, not a symmetrical stage. So I've made a couple of quilts like this where they're all different size blocks. This was another fat quarter and jelly roll bundle, and this is Kansas Troubles Fabrics.
Okay. Throw them up there.
Yep. This one might look familiar. This is an AccuQuilt project. This was made using the 1.5-inch strip die. And so we did a demo on this, on how to use the strip die to make a log cabin. They do have a log cabin die, but I prefer to use the strip die because you get that real scrappy look that you can't really do with the log cabin die. And then we quilted it here, and this is a curly swirly pattern. And I just put muslin on the back because why not, right?
Why not?
And I still have to bind it, so this was kind of unfinished.
Everyone loves all of them so far. They're going crazy.
This was another AccuQuilt project. This was our first Go Club project. How are you guys faring on yours?
Oh
Yeah,
great.
we're just
right on top of it. Loving every second of it.
So this was just some sample fabrics that we had in the store. And this is actually a Jacob's Ladder. AccuQuilt calls it something else, though. I can't remember what they named the block. And then the border was just extra pieces that I had. But this AccuQuilt makes your projects go so fast. And then we quilted it. I don't know if you can see it. We put these like flowers in the quilting.
Yeah, that's cool.
And again, I like color, so we quilted it in the burgundy. Oh, that's the one we just saw. We can do it. Let's look at this one. This one's for sale.
That's a big one.
It is a big one. So this is a whole cloth quilt.
That's beautiful.
It's a king size, and it's black on the other side. This is one we quilted here.
It's reversible.
It is reversible.
What did it end up being? About 1,000,000 stitches?
It was over 1,000,000 stitches
Just over
to do
1,000,000
this one.
stitches in this one.
This took us all day to sew on our machine. Yep. Should we flip it back over so they can see the pattern? Oop, I think it's over. So if you think this would look better on your bed than in our store, comment make it mine.
I think the dog and cat hair would look spectacular on that. Well, your dog has got black hair.
Yeah. And we have one of these.
Yeah.
So it's a big one.
It is big. Cool.
How about an embroidered?
This one came out beautiful.
Yeah, this one did. So you have to come close to see the detail in the. This one was on display in Springfield. It may look familiar. This is my absolute favorite thing to do is machine embroidery and combining that with quilts and quilting. And so this is machine embroidered with gold thread, and then we had this fabric that I thought just looked perfect with it. It has this real vintage heirloom look.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have an embroidery machine, let me tell you, it's a lot of fun, and you can do stuff like this and create your own family heirlooms. Because one like this, you'll have your children and grandchildren. The people that say, "Oh, don't give me any more quilts."
They'll want this one.
They'll be like, "Can I have that one? Can you make one for me?" Because it just has that look. All of the blocks are different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I actually did it again. I don't have it sewn together yet, but I did another version of this in blue and silver. So the flowers are blue and the stitching is silver. So I have to put that one together yet. This is one I'm still working on. You'll love this. This is funny. The reason I'm still working on it, because I was quilting on the sit-down quilter.
Sewed an edge together there, did you? It's like a pocket.
Yeah, this is not supposed to have a pocket. It happens to all of us. But, yeah. But unfortunately, it's not bad. It's just one little straight line that I was sewing and sewed a seam into it. But it is pretty. And this is a block. This is a quilt that I started a long time ago. It was a project that I abandoned because I didn't want to do this much hand applique, and it's sure not going to happen now. So I have 2 blocks that are this size from this quilt book. So I have another one of these to make out of this fabrics. But, so that's hand applique. I'm not doing that anymore. If I can't do it by machine, it's not going to happen.
They want to know if you quilt 24/7, 365.
Nope.
She wishes she was
I wish
doing
I
that.
But yeah, so there's that one. It happens.
Yeah.
Mary says, been there, done that.
We've all been there, done that. This one, sometimes I like to play around with color. So we'll show both sides of this one too. So we don't, whoops, this has a pin in it. Oops. And so with this one, I wanted to do reverse color, have the color be in the background, and then the front, just all of these hearts. And if you're interested in this one, I have the template for this heart too. Again, this was one that I did on a long arm.
Lots of color.
Lots of color. This was a great scrap buster too. So you can whip one of these out. These are done with the sewing machine. They're not hand applique. If you're going to use white fabrics like I did here, you want to use a stabilizer underneath so that the colored fabric doesn't bleed through. And then we'll show you the back of it to show off the quilting. So by the time I finished this one, I had mastered petals. But that's how you do it. That's how you learn a new skill. Just do something like this. Pick your one pattern that you want to finish and learn, and then go for it.
Lots of fans of that one.
That one's
That's a good
fun.
one.
Did that one. This
Yeah,
one.
UFOs and
We have lots of UFOs. This is another embroidery machine project.
you gotta finish this.
I will finish it. Pressure's on to finish this one. I love how dramatic colors, solid colors can be. So this was all done on the embroidery machine. This is one block. I have a really big hoop. So this is a very old fabric, or not fabric, pattern. It's called a cotton ball. So I need
Let us
a
know
border.
if you've seen that one before.
Yeah.
Cotton ball. Or
Let us
made
know.
one.
So I really do, as much as I say I love modern quilts, I really am drawn to the red and green quilts and the really vintage look like this. I mean, if you found this in a flea market somewhere, if it weren't for the machine embroidery, you'd say this was 150 years old. It's a very old pattern. So I've got some work to do on it. Borders are not my favorite thing to do. So that's why this one is where it is. And I don't just work on one quilt at a time. I actually do several quilts.
Carol said that's on her bucket list.
The cotton ball.
Yep. Jennifer was saying that had a little bit of Hawaiian style look to it.
A little bit, yeah. So this was another AccuQuilt Go project for our Go Club. Great scrap buster. This was out of my scraps. So I had been going through and using up all of my white on white fabrics because, you know, as I'm getting older, I can't tell the difference between the front and the back. So there are some pieces flipped around in here. They're staying that way. Again, this is at a point where it just needs a border and some quilting. So, but this was a great scrap buster, and the lesson that I was trying to get across in this one was Doesn't matter what fabrics you use. If you have a background that ties it all together, it just works. So everybody comment and let us know how many quilts you have at this stage, just waiting for something. You can tell. I mean, I'm coming clean here, so. This one was another club project. And if you want any of these patterns, go out into Facebook and join our AccuQuilt Club. And some of these patterns are posted there. I really like this one because of the movement in the quilt. And this was a collection of fabrics we had. But again, I used up some white on white fabrics that I can't tell the difference. So I'm thinking maybe this one doesn't really need a border.
Sounds like you're trying to escape the border.
I think I might be.
Why don't you like borders?
Well, I don't like borders because when I'm done with a quilt, I'm just done. I'm ready to be done and move on to something else.
Well, everyone on the show definitely has no UFOs. It doesn't look like at all.
No?
They're saying 5, 10, way too many.
So this one actually is done. Well, I probably could use a border. This was done with AccuQuilt. This was done using the 1-inch strip die. And this was the leftover fabric. We did the quilt that's hanging back there, the kits.
And this is what was left over?
This was what was left over, so I couldn't really bear to waste it, so I did this one, which is a different version. This is a log cabin. A lot of pieces in this one.
Tell them what makes that so unique. What you use.
Oh, Susan was telling me to let you know what I used to make this quilt so unique. And what I think we have one kit left too. So this was a panel. So sometimes I go to Fabric Quilt and get Paintbrush Studios fabric, and they had several bolts of this as a panel, and so I cut the panel up to make this quilt. So that's why all the fabrics look like they go together so well.
They do.
Because they do. Yeah, so this was a panel. So if you have a bunch of panels that you don't like, cut them up into really small pieces. Nobody will ever know.
Till now.
Until now.
But it gives people hope for things they have at home that they've decided they don't like, but don't want to give up. This was another AccuQuilt project, not a club project. This was a pattern I saw in a magazine. I really like the pattern because it has a circle kind of in it that you can kind of follows this around. This was made using the 8-inch cube. The pattern that they used really kind of old-fashioned vintage fabrics, and I wanted to give it a modern twist.
Look, it almost looks like the fabric that we showed.
It does. That might make a perfect backing for this one. Now this always makes me think of the football players.
The X's and O's?
The X's and O's that they have when
you go this way, I'll go that way.
Yeah,
I'll hit you down the middle.
Do a Sharpie and draw some arrows. And
you could do that with thread.
You could. Oh, I see a quilting plan coming together.
Jennifer says it looks like Christmas ornaments.
Yeah, it does.
It's kind of hard to see them from, up close, but when you're seeing it from far away, you can see a lot of different stuff. But this was a really cool pattern, I thought. Simple quilt, easy to make. Is there anything else? What's that white one? Did you show me? I didn't show that one. See, that one's the last. This one is a Take 5. Which is it's a pattern you see on the internet all over the place. and it was some fabrics that we had in the store. I think we still have some of them. We might have this. I don't think we have this anymore.
Some of the spring, summer.
Yeah.
Last year, maybe?
Yep, last year.
The year before, they all go blend together.
This one doesn't get a border. See, it's already serged off. But, again, I like color, and I quilted this in lime green.
It works pretty well.
Yeah. And then I think that's it. I have one more that is a rescue.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, thank you, Mary.
This one was a flea market find top. It's huge. And so this one was quilted on a long arm, but somebody did all of this embroidery by hand. And so I quilted it and finished it. So I don't know who the maker was.
It looks like cross stitch.
It is cross stitch. All hand done. But, you know, if I'm out and I'm seeing an unfinished quilt, let us know if you do this too. You see it like at yard sale or flea market or something, and they put like, I think this was $15.
Oh, wow.
Somebody put a lot of work in it. And
right, somebody did. I mean, all of the embroidery was already done. So I bought it. You couldn't see the quilting lines. I think this was a Priscilla pattern. And so I just found a pattern that I liked and quilted it. So this was one of my rescue quilts. Yeah. That's what I call them. Unfinished tops that need a rescue.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Well, on that rack anyway.
On that rack. I do have more quilts at home. There are quilts hanging around the store that I've made.
Well, we'll switch some of them out and then we can do another trunk show a little bit later.
Yeah.